So this is the first talk I'll be giving in a series of talks about business skills and entrepreneurship. So I want to start today by making a statement that's going to make many of the creative professionals here feel distinctly uncomfortable. But I'm going to make that statement anyway, so here goes. And what I want to say is that making money from your art, making money from your creativity, making money from your passion, making money from all of those activities is okay. It is acceptable. And I think that Andy Warhol said it best. Making money is art. Being creative and achieving successful commercial returns are two objectives that can exist together in harmony. The two are not mutually exclusive. And yet, for most of the architect and design practices I've coached over the last 9 years, they very much believed that the two are not compatible, and they've had a challenge with this belief system. Many have felt that it's wrong, and even a compromise on their art form. And they've also told me that they felt this way for a very, very long time. So these are very much entrenched and ingrained belief systems. And then I get the justification for that belief system. And it usually goes something along the lines of, well, Parag, you see, the reason we behave this way commercially, the reason we make these decisions is because we're different. We are different. This is the thing you have to understand. We have different values. We have different objectives. We have a different culture to normal businesses. So we are that different being. Now, I've heard this rationale so many times that you'd have to forgive me for thinking that I'm listening to a message from people in a secret society or some sort of cult. Such is the level of repetition. And yet it's a belief system that simply is not true. One of my jobs as a business coach is to challenge assumptions that people are making about their business. And so I'm going to do just that today. My challenge to you all here today is to think about your businesses and for me to ask you this simple question. Are you really as different as you think you are? Creative businesses, just like any other businesses, still have bills to pay. They have monthly wages, they have monthly overheads. The people in those businesses will want to take holidays. Those people will want to occasionally treat themselves and their families to some of the nicer things in life. All of these activities, of course, have to be funded, and they have to be funded out of the business cash flow. And yet when I started to coach these businesses, we've had these marvellous moments. We call them light bulb moments. We're sat there in a coaching room together, and the people there have the realization that it's their beliefs, or rather I call them limiting beliefs. It's their limiting beliefs that are directly contributing to the tough commercial realities that many of them face day after day. It's their beliefs, not some other external factors, that are leading to this result. Now, limiting beliefs, of course, are not the preserve of just creatives. Everyone has limiting beliefs. I see them in all businesses. But this belief system is particularly common in these types of businesses. But the great news is that any belief system can be changed, and usually can be changed very quickly. And I'm hugely passionate about helping businesses to overcome their limitations created by these beliefs, these self-imposed limitations. In my experience, I've seen a critical and crucial difference between the way that true entrepreneurs set their business up versus the way that creatives do. True entrepreneurs establish their businesses with the goal, first and foremost, of building profitability. They also want those operations to run largely or entirely without their direct involvement. The reason they do that is because they value their freedom. What I mean by that is the freedom for their time to spend their time with family, to spend their time pursuing other business interests, even philanthropic goals, or they may choose to spend their time within that business that they're currently running. The point here is that they have the freedom. They have the freedom to choose, and they are not chained to that business should they choose not to be. Now, in contrast, creatives start a business because they are technical experts. And that largely means that they remain intimately involved with the technical operations of the business throughout its life cycle. Now, the downside of that approach is that these businesses often fail to capitalize on the opportunities to grow and develop their business. For example, the opportunities to move more towards their ideal target markets or work with more of their ideal customers. They fail to do this because their focus is elsewhere. I've coached hundreds of creative businesses, event management agencies, PR companies, branding companies, graphic designers, architects. All have excelled at creativity and innovation. And yet each one has come to me in my business because they've consistently failed to achieve the commercial goals that they were setting for themselves. And by the way, this assumes, of course, that they were actually documenting and tracking the goals they had for themselves and their business. Many, unfortunately, had not documented their goals because they simply didn't understand the importance of doing so. So the outcome of this mindset for these businesses is a win-lose situation. The client wins. They get a great service from a great creative business. But it's the business that loses. And to further compound this, to make matters worse, many of the people involved seem to be resigned to their fate, knowing that this is their lot in life and there's nothing that they can do about it, that they have no control over what's going on. And therefore they simply give up and resign themselves to the fact that that's the way it's going to be. Many feel powerless to do anything about it. And of course, as we said earlier, they're different. So when these belief systems prevail, it's very difficult to make any changes. Yet this methodology and the sacrifices that are being made are completely unsustainable. The disappointing results on UK business performance would prove this. Some of you here will know that around 60 to 80% of UK businesses will fail within their first 5 years of operation. And the interesting thing about this stat is that this stat recurs over time, i.e. it's a stat that happens irrespective of what's going on in the economy. So irrespective of whether the economy is in boom or in recession, the stat is still roughly the same. So what that tells us is that it cannot be the economy that is leading to these statistics. There must be something else contributing to them. And this, of course, is what's going on internally within the business as having a more direct impact. And from the day I've started my coaching practice, I've always found these stats tragic and totally unacceptable. Why does it have to be this way? Why should this be the case? Why should this be the reality for so many people? I don't believe it needs to be. I'm delighted that I'm already starting to see a change of mentality, however, with those that I've worked with. I fully believe that this change is possible. And I intend to carry on with that journey to make sure that happens. It's important to me that that does happen because I've seen at first hand the detrimental impact that this has on people. The sacrifices that they've made for relatively little return. I've often seen a lack of balance in their lives, balance with their personal time, balance with their health and their well-being. This leads to a feeling of disillusionment with their business, which in turn destroys the creativity and the flair that led them to start their business in the first place. So I don't like seeing this happen, especially when these results are so avoidable. If these creative businesses were able to add a layer of practical business skills on top of the skills they've already got. So I'm really looking forward to sharing many of these skills and tools with you over my coming talks. Some of those skills would include things like mastery of your time, mastery of the planning process, understanding and mastering your finances more effectively, and also how to manage and get better results from your teams. These are all skills that I'll be sharing with you. But in the meantime, I'll urge you to go back and think about my challenge that I set you. Are you really so different? Is your business really as different as you think? And if by now you can start to see that maybe it's not, I'd encourage you to join me on this journey to improve your skills and also to embrace your inner entrepreneur.